Hey, by the way, come this way. Yeah, you're gonna want to be this way for this one. So, I never really explained to you guys what the Viking Project was. So, true story, I am a medieval reenactor, and part of my medieval reenactment is, I meet people from all over the world who do medieval reenactment, and there is, understandably, a very large and popular group of reenactors who like to do Viking Age stuff. Viking Age is cool, Viking Age is neat, we heavily vet our friends. Some of my friends, who are really cool and good people, bare minimum for being my friend, let's be real, do this really intense high persona thing called the Viking Raid. And it is basically a specialty tournament with special rules and laws of engagement, etc., that is held 2 or 3 times a year at different places that are like at big scale events. Not like, oh, we're getting together for the weekend in KC. Like, we're driving out for a week to Mississippi to camp in the mud and the rain. Anyway, so I was like, oh, I want to do Viking Raid. And so I did, and I was like, this is incredible. And then we went and we had like this really cool emotional party afterwards. That's truly what it was. In the early period longhouse, Viking longhouse that my friend helped administer, run, take care of. So that was really cool and enriching, and we were all like, this is life-changing, let's do it again. And so me, in my eagerness, got invited along to a second different other party at a second different other big scale event that was super duper high persona and fancy, and it was really elaborate and cool, and it was totally inspiring. And the entire time I was super self-conscious because I looked like I did not have nice clothing. I was super self-conscious. I didn't feel good about myself. And so I came away from that and I said, I will only have nice clothing that I am proud of so that I can walk into a room with these people, be confident in how I look, and not worry about how I look the entire time that I'm there, so that I can actually enjoy the process as opposed to just be sitting there fidgeting because my hem is not hemmed and it's just raw edge that's fraying and covered in mud. So I started designing outfits and looking at constructing outfits, researching the correct time period, where my character, my persona is from, all that sort of stuff. And I have now passed the research phase, and I am now in the construction phase. I am actively sewing as I'm talking to you. So, a little bit about my Viking persona, who is different than my Greek persona. They're from the Trondelag, which is the northern region of Norway on the other side of the mountains that actually wasn't super involved in Viking activity. As we all know, Viking is another word for pirate, and the North Scandinavian, Norwegian, Icelandic, Swedish, Danish groups who went a Viking were raiders. They had their own ethnicities and their own cultures and their own things, but a lot of the people that they were raiding did not differentiate between them, because big man with blonde hair coming at me with an axe doesn't matter whether he's from Denmark or Sweden. He's going to kill you. So, that was that. And so the Trondelag is actually like the agricultural region. They had trade with the Frisians, so they had access to the Silk Road. They were a very, very wealthy area. I keep referring to it as the suburbs. I keep referring to it as the Norwegian suburbs. And so my persona came from a very agriculturally wealthy region and a very trade wealthy region, and kind of started doing Viking stuff out of boredom. What else does wealthy, rich white people do when they're bored, besides picking up activities that other people have to do for livelihood in other regions? So that's my persona. I haven't, like, I'm a nerd, so I like write backstories for my personas rather than just like being normal about it. But it's fun for me, so that's fine. But I am making designs, which I will show you now. So the plan was to make 7 suits of clothing, and because I'm a nerd, I decided to theme the clothing around different concepts. 2 of them were just my kingdom's heraldry, so purple and gold with the falcon. I'm from Palantir. Hi. So all of the outfit would be themed around that, so that I could wear it and people could go, oh, that person's from Callantyre, because we do get in a parade and we march, and it's charming. So I did that design, and I found this design of a cross, the Burka cross, which I modified slightly into a Calatrava, which is the emblem of our kingdom, so that I could have our kingdom's heraldry, which is 14th century style, modified to Viking time period, as well as this cool striking falcon detail that I'm going to put on the collar. The other one was my personal heraldry, which is a white tree blazoned and burnt and eradicated on a field of green and purple with 3 white moons over it. So it's the tree of life with the triple goddess symbol. But and that's real simple. It's just your standard apron dress, long sleeve with a green hood. So my other designs, I decided to theme around the Norse gods, because if we actually look at history and the way that they were written, the Norse gods were not like living on Olympus away from everybody else. They were here. They were present. They were available. They were on Midgard most of the time. They left to go to Asgard occasionally, but the Asa and the Æsir were kind of present in the everyday of the Norse folk. So my approach to each costume was, as the chief of his tribe, what would Odin have had access to as a conquering warlord? Because as we know, Odin is a god of war. So he has a combination of trade wealth and Viking loot, hack silver, etc. By contrast, Frigga, who is not originally an Æsir, she married in as Vanir. She's a Vanir goddess who married into the Asa. She would have been from the merchant region that I'm from, if we look at mythology meets history anthropology. So what would she have had as a region heavy with agriculture, heavy with animal husbandry, heavy with trade, and also married to a conquering warlord, getting all of that raid loot as well. So hers is really opulent. She's got like a rabbit fur stole and a silk panel apron and all this other pretty stuff, and I've got the underdress for that partially done. It is not finished, but it is constructed. I could put it on and wear it if I needed to. I'm not going to, but I could if I needed to. So there's that one. Thor is a farmer. He's the god of farmers and rain, and he also is a warlord. So he goes off Viking and stuff, but he spends most of the year attending to agriculture and farmsteads. So being a workman, needing sturdy clothing, what is he wearing? What does he have available? He has hack silver and he has wealth from his Viking raids, but his clothing predominantly allows him to be able to move and do farm work. And the only like really fancy thing that he has on him that he wears consistently is his belt, which we know from the sagas is important. He wears it to battle because it doubles his strength. Loki was a completely different approach, because Loki, being first and foremost a Jotun, he's an outsider. So I actually had the idea that he was probably a trader, a merchant, from one of the other regions, from Sweden, from Denmark, etc., who had come in and kind of inserted himself into the region. I was picturing a very opulently dressed, very wealthy, not necessarily a Viking, just straight up wealthy trader who was in contact with the Frisians, who was getting down to the Black Sea, so he has a Roos coat, and who was trading in Hebede, trading in Trondheim, trading in all of those important ports that we have set up throughout the Viking Golden Age. So he has kind of a mix of different cultural stuff, and also colors, whilst being very clean, refined, very fancy. Not in the way that Odin is, who is still a warrior, but because he can afford to be fancy and he doesn't do hard labor. He works with numbers and letters. The last outfit that I'm going to do, I haven't decided what I'm doing yet. I think it's going to be a feminine design, because I have a mix of masculine and feminine clothing, I'm also making fighting clothes, which is fine, but for my last design, I haven't decided what to do yet. I can't do Freya. She won't let me. I was thinking Sif, maybe. I was thinking Skadi, maybe, which would be really good for heavy winter stuff, because she is the goddess of skiing, so her clothing and stuff would be different, and that is more indicative of the even further north, above the Trondelag region, and the indigenous people who live up there, who are cousins slightly to the Inuit. They have very similar cultures. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to get back to sewing and follow along for the rest of the journey. Thank you so much. Goodbye. What was I doing?